Great. So I'm one of the co-founders of a company called Craft Gin Club, which we started in 2015, actually. So it's been a while. And it was during the heyday of subscription clubs and subscription boxes. And at the same time, there was a boom in the spirits market, particularly around gin, with lots of new distilleries coming online. And so we put two and two together and created a discovery type box for our for a kind of a rabid fan base at the time, to be honest with you. So I wanted to talk about subscriptions and how they've evolved a bit. Just give you some background on my story as well. I think, Paul, you said you want to ask me some questions about the entrepreneurial journey generally, which is good. But I probably won't speak to a lot of the details, the marketing details that you'll hear in other talks, CPAs and lifetime value and payback periods and all that. But I can give you some high level views of subscription and how they look now and how they'll probably evolve going forward and where they might fit into your business if it's something you're considering, because I do get asked that once in a while from e-commerce founders considering a subscription add-on. So yes, the topic that Paul wanted to talk about was how are subscriptions within e-commerce evolving and building a community around a bold membership model, smart storytelling, and fan-first experiences. So there we go. Ooh, there's a large picture of me, sorry. So we started from scratch, literally in our bedrooms in different countries on top of it all. And with nothing, no money, and just a Facebook page, and started building a community through content. It was very much a content marketing play at the time, which we'll get into a bit. To date, we've shipped product to over 500,000 UK households. We've partnered with well over 100 distilleries at this point, so we have a great community of suppliers as well. And we often work with those micro distilleries to produce exclusive spirits for our members, which is always fun for them because it's stuff you'll never get elsewhere and never see again. And most of our sales are still through subscription. It's been primarily subscription since the beginning. And we really tried to be a community-first, content-led model with the content marketing model that was so popular back in the day and remains, in my opinion, key to building a brand and creating a community. And so this is a picture of me in one of the early days packing boxes. I forgot to mention, just to give a little bit more context to the product, if you don't know, you see the picture on the right. So we send out a package with cocktail mixers, bubbly mixers, spirits, vermouths, liqueurs, things like that, as well as snacks, both sweet and savory. And we have a monthly magazine as well, which is a great retention tool. There it is. Oh, that's an old one. It actually has a new name now. But it's that magazine actually, through being sent out in our boxes, became the largest spirits magazine by circulation in the country, and we think the world, actually. The readership was somewhere in the hundreds of thousands at some point. So it was a nice thing to tag on to our credentials as being the largest spirits magazine in the world. So content-led commerce, I think, is still relevant today. It's changed with the dynamic has changed with the way that the algorithms and all the networks that we publish on have evolved. We all know algorithm changes from one day to the next can completely change the way your marketing team works, and sometimes the inner workings of the business more broadly. But it is still very relevant, I would say. And it's kind of time tested at this point to create communities and to create an emotional engagement with your customer. You need to speak with them and make sure that it's kind of a slow burn, right? We've gotten used to all of the metrics, the immediate satisfaction of seeing your likes, etc., on social media, and then all of the metrics you can you can get through your dashboards, SEO, geo, and social media. And I think generally as an industry, we've become accustomed to not paying attention to the things you can't measure, which is actually a lot of what goes behind your messaging and your community and customer relationship building. Is things that are more difficult to measure, that intangible stuff. So that's what content does in my experience. Oh, we also had on this slide, we also had a very big group of people talking about all sorts of things, not just gin and booze, but this Facebook group is 30 some odd thousand people at some point, which was pretty impressive as well. So I just wanted to get a bit more into detail on what I was just discussing, because I think it's important to learn from people's mistakes, and we've definitely made mistakes. So I wanted to point some of those out, and they're mistakes related specifically to the type of product we have. So those three boxes right there are kind of historical. So it's through COVID would be the left box, and then post-COVID as the bubble burst, and then the right box is where we're headed now. And what we did very well in the beginning, it was all content marketing. It was content-led acquisition. We were building communities online. We had our, the MailChimp newsletter long time ago. That sounds ancient. And we would generate loads of content and get it out there. Obviously, back in the day, organic reach was much easier. And everything's become pay to play more or less at this point. So it's a much harder strategy to get that organic reach. But we also did lots of newsletter storytelling. It was a proper, not just a commerce newsletter, but lots of useful tips for people. We tried to position it as more of a lifestyle brand than just here's a product, and that worked very well. But as the bubble popped and we wanted to maintain that top line vanity metric, more or less, where the things you can measure and the things you can see, top line revenues, how many members you have, those sorts of metrics that are very pleasant to see, but aren't necessarily speaking to the overall health of your business. You can get lost in those, and because the culture and the objectives of the business were geared towards maintaining those top line membership numbers and revenues, to maintain that, we started discounting quite a lot. Whereas in the past, the discounts were much less prevalent and much less deep. But what we learned over time is that discount-led acquisition for a product such as ours doesn't necessarily translate to long-term relationships. In fact, many of the people that take the discount churn out very quickly. So even if those cohorts eventually pay back, they pay back over, for the most part, a timeline that's not particularly acceptable. And they also don't ever generate the type of return, ultimately the type of LTV that you would like to see, your 3 to 1 LTV to CAC. So chasing volume for a product such as ours, which was very much a club, the name of the company has the word club in it. And clubs are supposed to be somewhat exclusive and somewhat tight, and if they get too broad, even your customers might start to question the feeling that they have as being part of a club, and so chasing the volume and spitting those discounts out there actually worked to train loyal customers to quit and wait for the discount and sign up again. And there's all sorts of tools you can put in place to try and stop these activities, but we still found that people, relatively a decent amount of people, were still able to cut through the cracks and sign up again with the discount. So we're losing money from loyal customers because of the way we've trained them to think about our product, which was it was no longer this super high quality exclusive feel. It was, oh, you're a discount led retailer. And so that emotional, that psychology of the core members and new members, new to brand members we were trying to attract, changed. All of much of the messaging, it was no longer relationship driven, engagement driven, emotionally driven. It was, how much bang are you getting for your buck, and how much discount are you getting, and what are the monetary value benefits that you're getting from being a member. And for a product like ours, it can certainly work in some categories, but for a product like ours, it doesn't translate very well because we're at a super premium price level in our category, in the spirits category, super to ultra premium actually. So you're looking at somewhat of a luxury, affordable luxury to a luxury experience, that you're saying, oh, if you buy one, get one, or get 75% off when you sign up, and get 25% off your next two, to try and create that habit. I mean, people are pretty wise to that these days. So it just didn't, that value for money messaging and those discounts did not create the type of relationship that we needed. And then even the newsletters, which didn't become a newsletter anymore, it was just buy my stuff. And for loyal members, we had a shop on the side, and we would, there would always be discount days for loyal members to buy more stuff. But it was another dynamic there where we were often selling them product that was substitutable to the main product, but at a lesser margin. So we're feeding them stuff that they on discount that is actually replacing the consumption of the main product at a lesser margin for us and less experience driven for them. So that was another lesson. So now we're going back to basics. That's why that slide says 360 journey. And we're trying to get back into the engagement side, the emotional side, the educational side with the content, really reinvesting in brand, making sure that we're not seen as a discounted spirits retailer, and try to rebuild that community. And one thing that actually breaks my heart as a founder in the business is we lost one of the ways you can track your people satisfaction is your Trustpilot and that. And our Trustpilot fell by a full point. That's massive. We had really high Trustpilot scores for the history of the company. And then when we started chasing those discounts and implemented some other fake retention tools, like having them call up to cancel and trying to maintain gross margin by getting cheaper shipping partners, for instance, which doesn't provide the best experience for the customer, a less luxurious experience. The satisfaction numbers plummeted, and that scares away more loyal customers. It's kind of a vicious circle that you, trust me, do not want to get caught up in. So we're really just getting back to the company's roots, and attempting to rebuild that community and rebuild that satisfaction, that trust with the customer base. And I think there's something to say, I should get into a bit later, but there's something to say for a product like ours for that exclusivity. I think it was Luke who was talking about product market fit earlier, and product market fit is obviously crucial, but you can have a really good product market fit. You just might not have the size of market that matches your ambitions. And if that's the case, then my suggestion would be build that core company that you've launched into, try and capture as much of that market as you can without straying too far into giving discounts and attracting the wrong sort of customer, and just run that profitably. And if your ambitions are bigger than that, then you diversify, and you diversify off the strength of the brand you've built. I can't speak to any individual company's options for diversification, and it can be challenging to identify the right type. But if you're hitting a wall on growth, I'd love to have this conversation with Luke over a beer sometime. So if you're starting to hit the wall on growth, the ceiling on growth with your core business, this isn't unnatural. It's actually very natural for the type of company that if you have a subscription company with one core product. So don't let that freak you out. Just accept it for what it is and engineer it so it's run very simply and can throw off cash. And it obviously sounds much simpler when I'm saying it than it is in practice, but it's just don't shoot yourself in the foot. It's what I can say to that. Let me try the next slide. Sorry. Any questions there, Paul?
No, go ahead. I have some questions at the end of the slides.
All right, great. Yeah, so I just wanted to look at, as I mentioned, I didn't want to get too detailed into the CACs and whatnot, because you'll hear that from other people and probably people much more expert than myself on it. But I just wanted to look at it at a high level. I identify 4 different types of subscriptions within e-commerce. A lot of people have 3, but I think it's important to distinguish between the second and the fourth, which a lot of people group into the same category. But you've got your replenishment, and this is your subscribe and save, your kind of commodities. You've got dog food and washing up liquid there, your shave, your razors, and some food. And those companies certainly can create brand loyalty and create some good content to engage with the community. But largely it's a replenishment play, right? Because the shaving clubs, for instance, I can run down to Boots and pick up a razor, but I buy that subscription because I find it personally more convenient. Or in the case of Small, who's done quite well with their dishwashing liquids and washing machine liquids, tablets, I should say. I as a consumer, I'm still going to the supermarket because I need food and other stuff. But if I like that product and its convenience, then I might sign up for it. And then there's what I like, Amazon Prime and companies like that, where you pay to get discounts and build up points and whatnot. It's more utility, I would say. It's a utility subscription. You get savings and access to some of the discounts they offer and the benefits they offer. And Prime has the movies and media behind it and the free shipping. And so that's one of the types of subscription. The other is Discovery, which is where my company sits. My company kind of straddles the line between Discovery and Access, because we do exclusive editions as well. But Discovery is the makeup boxes, the Kiwi company is a toy, an educational toy brand for kids. The spirits subscriptions and the alcohol subscriptions and that. I mean, it all started with Birchbox, really, back in the day, if you remember their original makeup boxes. And then the last is more for fans, like uber fans of certain brands, artists, bands. Nike has the great running clubs and has exclusive sneaker drops for the people that sign up to its club. So like people are really have a really intense relationship with the brand, who pay to get access to these special editions, which I think is probably I would argue, the epitome of company consumer relationships. If you can achieve that, then you're going to create so many fans that are then going to talk about you. That's also, I believe, the epitome of marketing, when your customers are doing your marketing for you by talking about how great their relationship with you is with their friends and family. Well, let me move ahead. Oh yeah, but so if you put this on a matrix, you've got them on the x-axis. You've got the more functional subscriptions towards the left, and the more emotional connections with the company towards the right, and then the products towards the bottom of the y-axis tend to be more commoditized, and the products towards the top tends to be more exclusive. So I think, as I said, my company sits somewhere between discovery and access because of the exclusive editions. But I think it's important to figure out where your company could sit on that, sit in that. And then at the same time, I would say, just to tie it back to the content and community, that the further you are towards the right and the top, the more important the content and the community and the relationships you're creating with them become. Towards the left, the functional side of things, it can be largely habit driven as well. I think creating a habit, if you talk to Timo at Gusto, they've really tried to engineer their onboarding process so that it becomes a habit for their customers. And there's companies like the Women's Time of the Month companies. There are apps that try to create a habit with the woman. I remember talking to one of the founders of those who was saying, brand doesn't matter, it's just habit. That app, I got in this big debate with him about it, because I think brand is super important, because if there's another app like his that does the same thing and they offer a bigger discount, then people jump ship, right? So if you, the more, I guess, luxurious of an experience and exclusive an experience you're offering, the better it is to create really high level content and create a community around it. And then, so I just wanted to list these questions. I think you'll probably share these presentations later, but if you're really thinking about adding a subscription element to your e-commerce offering, these are some of the questions you can ask yourself to figure out, one, if it's worthwhile, if it's going to move the dial on your objectives. If your objective is to drive top line revenue and you sell, I don't know, dog food, potentially. If your objective is to retain customers and try to get them to purchase more with you, more frequently with you, then a subscription might be a good idea. So I would, ask yourselves these questions, sit down, use that matrix to try and plot where you are, and figure out if the actual concept of starting a subscription is worthwhile for your brand. And that's me. That's my LinkedIn and email. If you want to drop me a line, I'm always happy to talk shop, and I'd be thrilled to explore what would benefit your company most.
There is a quick question here that I want you to answer short, but we'll try. Would you say subscription boxes will die once the economy gets worse and people try to save the money?
Die is strong, but it's a fair question, because a lot of them tend to be discretionary purchases. You saw the on the graph, the replenishment, for instance, like that. The replenishment, I would say, could hold up there as long as the offering is cheaper, should I say. I'm a little bit bearish on the replenishment ones, to be frank, and the reason for that is what we've done with all of these offerings is disaggregate the supermarket, more or less, and the supermarket has aggregated all these things together. And most of I live in the middle of the city, but there's most of the country is semi-urban, suburban, moms and dads going to drive to the supermarket and pick stuff up. So those sorts of replenishment subscriptions on a mass basis, meaning I have a subscription for my baby's diapers and my dog food and my razors, and all of those add up. If they don't add up to what's less in your supermarket basket, and for the most part, you're not going to hit a critical mass, I would say, with those individual product descriptions, those disaggregated subscriptions. But yeah, from a subscription box perspective, sorry, I strayed from your question, but from a subscription box perspective, you're looking at what is largely a discretionary product, and so the cost of living crisis has been not great for them, I'm not going to lie. But it doesn't mean that you won't have a core constituency of super fans that love to treat themselves. A lot of our customers, apart from enjoying the product itself, love it as a self-gifting, as an affordable luxury, and they treat themselves to a Friday night cocktail, and they love the unboxing experience. And so, if I don't think that it's the to some degree the lipstick effect, right? Lipstick lipstick sales and makeup sales tend to go up in a recession because people are looking for affordable luxuries to treat themselves to. And if it's priced right, and your subscription box could be that as well. Good question. Thank you.
Great insight, man. Guys, please follow John on LinkedIn, contact him via email. And thank you so much. There is a 1-hour conversation between me and John on e-commerce camp live talk. Please go ahead, and it should be on our YouTube channel if you subscribe.